Every girl in Love Live has a signature. It's a way to stamp their style and personality onto a page. You can find all of the girl signatures on the Love Live Squad Festival All Stars app when viewing their profile. But who has the best signature? Of course, everyone has their own opinion, but I will go over mine in this video. I'll be rating the signatures based on creativity, legibility, uniqueness, or style, suitability, simplicity, and most importantly, how much I like it, which is extremely subjective. There isn't a single bad signature amongst all of them, but I do feel there are a lot of signatures which have a lot of missed opportunities. Some could have added a little bit more flair or style, or perhaps it was a bit too cluttered or hard to read. And yes, I can't read almost any kanji, but that's not what I mean. I'm more referring to the neatness. If I have the unstyled characters in front of me and I still struggle to see it, then that's when I have a problem with it. Anyways, let's go hit my rankings. In 28th place, which is last, we have Rico's signature. And honestly, I think it's kind of a bit plain. It's just her name with a few short lines replaced with hearts, as you can see here. It's very overdone. A lot of people will have a heart replaced, and it's just not very unique. And to be her only gimmick here is, well, very lackluster. It's simple and just not very creative, and any girl can think of that as a way to try to stylize their signature. So overall, this signature isn't really personalized to her or special, and I just think it's kind of bland. Next up, we have Ai Miyashita's signature, and it's a bit more appealing to her personality, but honestly, the characters are a bit messy, and maybe that's just her penmanship, but honestly, it's just not very legible. I can read it, but it's a bit difficult to able to read these characters, even though I should know them. I, of course, means love, so I guess a heart is going to make sense, and the heart does match her personality, as she's always kind of cheery and happy. But again, a lot of girls use hearts, and that's kind of the only thing that she has to specialize in. Mine is, I guess, beyond sparkles, but honestly, it's pretty lackluster. Next up is Hanio Koizumi, so we get to see Koizumi in the top left of this signature. Of course, Hanio means flowers, so as a flower divides the top from the bottom, that makes a lot of sense. The bottom right reads Hanio in kanji, though it's not very readable, to be honest, and honestly I found it a bit difficult to read that, even though I technically can figure out what the kanji should look like, as you can see with her name in the top middle of this screen here. The letters aren't really exactly stylized, but at least I can read the top left her name nice, but that's just because that's the characters I know. And I guess I'll give her some points for the fact that she has flowers here, and part of the characters is building into that flower, but it's not like having a flower is super special. It's just more fitting because her name is Hanio. But honestly, I was kind of hoping to see maybe some more like Yohan action in here, with rice, but we didn't get to see that at all. Now we have Kara Nasakas, and it's a bit more interesting, and it takes a bit of time to understand why the signature is this way. As you could see, she went for a way to have a line through two characters, so you could see there's that swirl going through the top two characters and the bottom two characters. You can accomplish this by deforming the characters in her name. Now the hearts have two forms, one with a plus and one with a minus. The heart with a minus replaces the blocks in her name that look like a wide rectangular 8. The one with the plus replaces the character that looks like kind of like a window. So it gets some merits for some uniformity with the top and bottom, but I fail to see how this has anything to do with her. And I get that, sometimes you might think of this as, well, her name could mean like forest, but that's because the Japanese characters already look like that, so that's not exactly specialized, or doesn't even look like they put much of attempt at that at all here. So I don't know, it feels a little unpersonalized to her, so I just can't seem to really rate her that high on that. And honestly, this one took a bit more effort for me to decipher, and I don't think all that effort to deciphering was really worth it for me, but I get it. It's a tiny bit more special than I guess Rico's, but that's about it. And I'm not a huge fan of how much they deformed it here, where it just feels off overall. Next up we have Kanata's signature, and it really isn't much of a signature. It's just her writing out her name in hiragana, and well, that's about it. I like the face though. I think it's kind of cute and funny, and that's very much like a Kanata kind of like face. But again, it's not very neat. It's readable, but I mean, this is what I feel like elementary schooler might be writing. So that's about all I could say. It's just not great, but there's worse to me, but I could see why someone wouldn't like this. Next up, we have Umi, and well, I guess there isn't much here. It's just more of the traditional style writing, and it's kind of hard to read, especially because it gets really clustered in very complicated characters. And honestly, I wish I could read it better, but it's just really hard. Though I do have an appreciation for the traditional style. I do like it a lot. Just if I can't read it, what's the point? And that's kind of where this falls for me. But this is appropriate for Umi, as she tends to appeal more to the traditional style. It's just, this one, I don't know, wasn't exactly the best implementation for me. Now we are on Satsuna Yuki. So Satsuna has the Yuki on top and the Satsuna on bottom. She styles it in a nice way, but the only noticeable change for the characters is that she added hearts in here. Once again, not very unique. That's just not a good way to make it unique to her. I wish there was more done with it, more of her personality being built into it, or perhaps a reference to her name or her symbol, which is a mic, but we didn't really get much of that, so I can't really honestly rate it this high. Next up, we have Kanan's signature, which got a similar idea with Kaden's, which they have two lines across the first and last names, and they kind of use the little bit of a deformation of characters to have a consistent line to give it some structure. So the stylizing of the name isn't exactly the most readable, but I don't know, I feel like the signature kind of has a nicer structure to it with all the ways they style the names. It just feels more neat, I would say. And there's also a fish on the top right, which of course appeals a little bit to Kanan. So honestly, this one is a nice looking signature. It's not exactly the most readable, which kind of bugs me a bit, but I still think it's kind of nice. Next up, we have Hanukkah signature, and that takes a step in the right direction of stylizing, but I have a lot of trouble identifying the characters even though I have the appropriate kanji in front of me. Cursive is definitely nice, but it's definitely overdone. If I stare at the character in front of me, I guess I could kind of guess what they should be, but I don't 100% know. So this signature does take a bit of a hit because it is hard for me to decipher at all those swirls here. It still looks nice, but I would love to be able to read it. And after that, we have Chika, which kind of similar to Hanukkah, except I believe Chika actually does it a little better here. She incorporates a treble clef in the signature, which I think is a nice touch here. And I just feel like it's less chaotic and a little bit more uniform and clear. And I just think it's kind of similar to what I feel like Hanukkah was trying to do here. But I do think this one looks nicer. Now we have Ayumu's, and she's got a nice but clean signature. Nothing too crazy, nothing overwhelming. And it follows her name with some more cursive elements in it. Yes, it's not insanely crazy here. And yes, again, there's also a heart in here for her name. So yes, that definitely detracts. So honestly, yes, it's not crazy stylized, but at least it looks nice. And that gotta give it a few points for that. Now we have Nico, and oh my goodness, his signature in Romaji? Yeah, so of course it's in English letters, so that is incredibly nice for especially someone who knows English. But honestly, this is actually a decent one. This is starting to become a lot nicer. We have the O and Nico kind of make a face with a smile, and of course Nico means smile, so that is really appropriate and it is fitting to Nico's personality. There isn't a whole lot beyond that. The Y kind of helps make the smile, which I think is nice. So I think this one is definitely a lot higher than all the ones beneath it, but I still think there are ones that did it a little better. But I still think this one is a decent one for Nico. Next up, we got Ren, and well, it just says Ren basically. It's a very simple signature, but I think to a fault. So her last name is Hoshizoro, which means starry sky, so of course it's natural that we're gonna have stars in her signature, as stars are yellow and Ren's color is yellow, so that does line up pretty well here. But honestly, I was hoping for a little bit more. I don't think it necessarily had to appeal to Rin's imagery with cats all the time, but I was hoping maybe for a little bit more. It's simple and nice, but I don't know, it's not super crazy interesting to me. Kasumi has a pretty unique signature that takes her name and makes a pretty goofy face that is very indicative of her. Kind of looks like her, and you know, the face matches her personality pretty well. I don't know, I kind of like it. It's definitely fun and goofy, and I do think it's pretty suitable for her, although yes, I could see the K is part of that, and I don't know. I don't know if the name really fits super well, but I don't know. She put in the star, but I don't know what she has to do with stars. I think the signature is a bit much, but you know, I gotta give props to the artistic direction with this, so I'll give it merit for that. Now we get to Rina's signature, and it's simply her name encased in Rina-chan Bodo. It's definitely simple, but it's very thematic and personalized to the biggest element of Rina. The face feels very fitting, and this is exactly what I expect from Rina, and I gotta give her a lot of points for being extremely personalized to her. Yes, this signature is not crazy or complicated, which does take a few points away, but I think it's important to be very thematic. And yes, I can do things as the odd signature for sure, but it's definitely unique, and it's something that only Rina could have, so I gotta give it props for that. Hanamaru's signature is taking her name in kanji and replacing those rectangular characters with circular elements. Hanamaru's signature is very swirly. Hanamaru are hand-drawn circles or spirals, but they can also mean very good as they are used in scoring tests. Hanamaru are often flowers, as you can see here. Hana means flower, and Maru means round, full, month, perfection, and so on. So you can kind of get an idea why there's a lot of circular flowers in her signature. So the spirals actually do make a lot of sense, and they weren't just done for, swirls and stuff. Circles are, I guess, a little bit much, but it does fit her very well. So for Daiya's, we do have a kind of a similar theme that Umi has, and why is this one so different? Well, I like this one a lot more, mainly because it's a lot cleaner and legible. It's more akin to that kind of like that traditional brush style of writing, and it just comes out to look, I don't know, very cool in my opinion. I generally like to see the traditional written style out for Japanese, and with thicker legible characters, it actually is nice and really cool for me to see. It just feels, it has kind of like that feel oriental kind of feeling, and maybe that's because I have an appreciation of Japanese culture, so I just find it's looking cool. But that's just what I think. I think it's stylistic and artistic. I think it's very appropriate for Daiya, who tends to be more traditional, and she does do calligraphy, so I do think this makes a lot of sense for her. It's not going to be mind-blowing, and you might say, well, that's not very personalized. Well, this is kind of her thing, though. I like it. That's more of a personal kind of opinion here, but I just like the way it looks. Ruby's signature is focused on having a bunny in her signature, and I guess I have the appropriate outfit on for this. The Kurosawa part is cut in half with the line going through her name. I guess that's something. And then you can find Ruby at the very bottom right, and it's pretty interesting that she combined the Ru part and the B part of her name towards the end of this signature. There's a heart in the middle, which again, another signature with a heart. But she also put a bunny on this as well, which is kind of honestly funny. Why bunny? Well, I don't know, this outfit I guess. But I don't know, I think it's pretty cute and thematic for Ruby as a person. So honestly, I like it. Kotori's signature works with the fact that Kotori means little bird. That's often why you see a bunch of little birds associated with her in so many situations. The hiragana is inside of the bird where the wing should be, so you can read Kotori there. It's thematic and fitting, and it's pretty nice how she got to fit it pretty well. And to someone who's not paying too much attention, you might not even notice it. So honestly, I think it's pretty fitting for her, although it would have been also nice if she could also fit Minami in there. I do see the bird itself is kinda close-ish to the me in her name when you look at the Japanese character, but it's not quite close enough to really make me say that that was necessarily intentional. Nozomi's signature is a bit more of a fun one. It's very readable. Tojo is on the top left, while the hiragana of Nozomi is in the middle, or the right, I guess, if you want to say that. The no part of Nozomi is a very fun and cute smile, as you can see with that swirl. Though I wish it would more incorporate the fact that Nozomi means wish in her signature, I still think it's a really nice one. It's very clean, and I just like the face, and I think that's kind of appropriate for Nozomi. So overall, I like this one a lot. For Emma Verde, we do get a pretty simple signature, but it's a very clean and stylistic one. It's so neat and legible. I just like the penmanship here. It's so stylistic, and I wish I was able to have that level of penmanship, and it's way better than I could ever do. Cursive is very well done. The flower then is a very nice and thematic for the nature loving Emma, although not as probably thematic as Hanio with the flowers, but it's still relatively thematic for her. Basically, it's a simple one. It's not gonna blow your mind away, but I just like how stylish and clean it is, and I just gotta give it props for that. Shizuku's signature is a very nice one. It has an umbrella at the top, and the eyes in Shizuku's name are rain droplets. Guess what Shizuku means? It's nice and clean, and I like how the signature pays homage to what her names mean. And the umbrella is a nice touch, and as you can see, sometimes she will have umbrellas in her lives. So I think this looks very nice and neat and very appropriate for her. Shioriko Mifune's signature is just her last name Mifune, but the M is a book. Shiori, which is inside of Shioriko, means bookmark, which is at the very end of her signature. The bookmark pairs very well with the book that's in her name, so I think that's a fun and creative, unique way to have kind of two elements work very well together. So we got a book and the bookmark, which of course is going to tie into her first name, so in a way you get her first and last name tied in very well in a very neat, very readable signature, and the fact that it's using English characters is very helpful. It's fun and creative, yes, and it's a bit simple, but I do like the creativity here, and I just enjoy overall how well it looks. So honestly, pretty good signature. So Mari goes with the Romaji for her name, and as we know, Mari is known for her English, so I do think it's the right idea to use English characters for her signature. The font is very indicative of her stylish but fun personality, and I just overall like the look of this name, and well, part of it is because of its glowing purple. I think it looks really nice, but I do think it just overall is a very nice looking signature. Yes, she uses hearts like, oh my god, like everyone, but it looks nice. Now there isn't much beyond that, but it is very stylish and clean, so I actually like this one a lot. Now we have Yo Watanabe's, and yes, it's a very simple one, and no, the handwriting is not the neatest out there, but I really like what you did with her first name. As we know, Y-O-U is pronounced Y-O, which is Yo, which is what is showing, Yo. But there's a smiley face in the O which acts like a sun. Yo is known for wanting to be a sailor and in the sun, so the O is being like a sun, which is also kind of fitting. Also, the U in Y-O-U, Yo, is actually in the bottom part of the smile, so you actually have Y-O and U. So Y-O-U is also there. So you not only get the spelling, but you also get the pronunciation, Yo, Y-O. So I think it's a really fun signature with a lot of purpose and meaning, whether if that was intentional or not. But I see it and I like it. So now we get to Yoshiko or Yohane's. So Tsushima is very front and clear for this signature. But where is Yoshiko here? Well, obviously that wouldn't exist because it's Yohane. Why would she ever write Yoshiko? First, what does Yohane look like? So they don't have it here on the screen, so I'll put it on here. And if you look carefully, you could potentially see it. If you look at the tip of the tail, which looks like a trident, it kind of looks like an inverted E. Well, guess what happens to be the first character of Yohane or Yo? An inverted E. The Ha and the Ne are right after, pretty clearly shown in the signature. And the rest of it is her obviously drawing a little demon, as you know she is generally known for. So not only is this so fitting, but she also puts a lot of effort into it, and she was able to integrate Yohan literally in it, kind of. At least the E was the trident tail thing. So honestly, I gotta give a lot of props for Yohan for incorporating her name into her little demon signature. So now let's take a look at Maki Nishikino's. So if we take a look at Maki's name in kanji, so yeah, so I'm pretty glad she decided to simplify that, because that is a mess and I'm not sure how that's gonna be done well in a signature. So why is this one so high? Well, I just like the aesthetics and simplicity of her signature. It looks very professional, neat and clean, got a lot of classic style that really matches Maki's Odo-sama kind of style. It's, you know, I think this is what I would normally see in real life of a lot of professionals or actors or famous people. I can see why people not necessarily like this, but I think it's really stylish and neat, and I like it. It looks really cool. Though the thing is, I'm not 100% sure what it's supposed to spell. Like I can kind of see an M, I could see a K, I see an I. So I don't think it's. I don't know if it's trying to say Maki, which I guess could work with the M and the A, I guess, on the top, and then there's the K and the I, and I guess an N that goes straight all the way to an O. So maybe that's what it reads. But it does look really cool. And in first place, I have LLSIF. So let's take a look at Ellie's name in kanji. Once again, thank God for Romaji. I really like Ellie's signature. Yes, it's a bit simple, but it's so cool and clean. And yes, there is a heart once again, but it's very easy to read and it looks sharp. It's not as creative as like Yoshiko's, but I really like the way this one looks. This is more of a personal preference, but the coloring, the A just looks stylish, and the name fits so well. It's all neat. I just like it. I don't have a good reason beyond that, but I think it looks really cool. So that is more or less my opinions on the currently 28 girls in Love Live All Stars, and of course that could change in the future, especially if new girls come in. But of course, as always, I have a poll for you guys to vote in. I'll just ask for your top 9 girls in here, so you don't have to rank all 1 through 28, because most people are just not really willing to put in that effort. So let's go ahead and have you guys vote your top 9 favorite signatures. So here, if you go to this section, you put 1 is your favorite and 9 being your 9th most favorite, but not the worst in here. So just pick 9 that you really like and go ahead and put that in the poll, and I'll later to see who has the best signatures overall. But thank you guys for watching. Of course, you guys have different opinions, so let me know who you think has the best signature and why. You think it's because of creativity, or you just like the way it looks. Any opinion is pretty much valid here. Maybe you just like it because it's your best girl, although I don't think that's a great reason to do that. But just let me know why you think their signatures are so good. Let me know in the comments below why. Go ahead and vote in a poll, and make sure you share that with your friends if you want them to vote as well. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to catch you guys in another video soon.